When most people think about minerals, they think about magnesium, calcium, maybe zinc. They think of minerals simply as nutrients that support bone health or maybe your immune system. But what if I told you that every heartbeat, every thought, every muscle contraction, every hormone, every immune response depends on minerals? In fact, if you're experiencing symptoms like fatigue, brain fog, muscle cramps, dry skin, thinning hair, blood sugar imbalance, poor thyroid function, one or more missing minerals may be the missing link to the puzzle. So today we're going to talk about what minerals really do in your body and why they're much more important than most people realize. Hi, I'm Dr. Cori Stern, and welcome to my channel, Take Control of Your Health. Minerals are one of my favorite topics. I find them very fascinating, but I also find that many people don't think about them that much or don't know much about them. And a lot of people's education about these things comes from social media, and some of it is simply not accurate. So I want to see what we could do to set the story straight. So I like to think of minerals as little keys that turn on the engines to all of the processes in your body. So certain processes cannot work without putting the key in the ignition and turning it on. For example, your thyroid can't make thyroid hormone without iodine. Your red blood cells can't transport oxygen without iron, etc. And there are a lot of different minerals. There's so many of them, and some of them you've heard of and you know about, and some of them you may never have heard of. And guess what? Your body needs all of them. So I think this topic is especially important because most patients that I see have some mineral deficiencies. Where do minerals come from? Yes, they're supposed to come from your food. And how do they get into the food? They get into the food through the soil that the food grows in, or if it's animal food, from the animals eating food grown in soil, and then they're full of minerals, and then you're eating that. But the problem is that most food is now mineral depleted. If you're eating food off of a commercial farm, commercially grown food generally is very mineral poor because it's the farming process that depletes the soil and then it needs to get repleted, except for that commercial farms don't do that. They use artificial fertilizer made out of toxic chemicals that don't have all of the essential minerals in them. So most of us are mineral deficient, and some of us more so than others. Well, let's talk about a few different minerals and what they do in your body and why they're so important. Let's start with the brain. Your brain is like a supercomputer sending messages, receiving and sending messages continuously, and those messages are sent through electrical impulses that rely on minerals. And one of the most important minerals involved in that process is magnesium. Magnesium is known as a calming mineral, right? So it's very popular right now because so many people are magnesium deficient that they're suffering symptoms like insomnia or muscle tension, muscle pain, muscle cramping. And so a lot of my patients come in already taking magnesium because they've learned that. And the problem is that there's a lot of different types of magnesium, like all minerals. Minerals have to be attached to an ion. So, for example, you have magnesium citrate and magnesium glycinate, magnesium threonate. In order for the body to absorb the magnesium, it has to be attached to an ion, not just magnesium, but any mineral. So people are being taught that one kind of magnesium is better for them than another kind of magnesium. It's not exactly accurate. Different types of magnesium are absorbed in different parts of your gut. When you only take one type, depending on how your gut function is, it can actually cause loose stool or diarrhea. I'm a big fan of taking what we call whole food magnesium. So all of the different magnesiums are contained in that particular supplement. And we'll talk more about that in a little bit. But it's a little difficult for you as an individual to determine exactly what minerals you're deficient in, exactly what you need and how much you need it. That's why it's better to talk to somebody that's what they do for a living, like me, for example. So when your magnesium is depleted, your nervous system can be overstimulated. So you can feel nervous, muscle tension, eyelid twitches, cramps, feel edgy, loss of focus or memory, um, insomnia, increased sensitivity to stress. And, I want to also mention that when you're under stress, minerals are more easily depleted. So, magnesium, I call it a stress mineral, and you need more of it when you're under stress. Your body needs more keys to run more engines when your nervous system is overstimulated. Zinc also plays an important role in brain function, learning, memory, concentration. Zinc has many, many functions in the body. It's important for your eyes, your skin, your thyroid, your pancreas, prostate. It has a lot of functions. I don't even know if I mentioned all of them. I'll share a quick patient story that I really love in relation to zinc. A woman who was early 80s, I think she was 82, came in with chief complaint of diabetes, and she was on medication for diabetes, and she had some other health issues too. She had high blood pressure. She was on medication for that. So we started working on cleaning up her diet, and I put her on a few supplements, one of which was zinc. A few weeks later, she comes to me and says, Dr. Cori, did you put me on something for my eyes? And I said, well, not necessarily. We didn't have a conversation about eye issues. She said, well, I didn't tell you because the other things were more important, and I really didn't think you can help me with this, but I have a condition called macular degeneration. And macular degeneration can occur in older folks, and it can actually lead to extreme loss of vision. She said, I have these black bands in my vision, and my eye doctor was injecting me with steroids in my eyeballs. She said it was very painful. I had 6 of those injections, and they did nothing for me. They didn't help me at all. So she said, I stopped that because I didn't want to go through that pain anymore. But then she said, but since I've been on these supplements that you recommended for me, the black bands are gone. She said, my vision has returned to normal. So I said, yeah, that makes sense. We gave you zinc for your pancreas so it could produce insulin more readily. I said, but you were probably very zinc deficient and it was affecting your eyes as well. So the zinc helped there too. And I just absolutely love that story because it's such a great illustration of the importance of minerals and all their different functions and what can happen when you're deficient. Many diabetics are deficient in zinc. So men males who are diabetic, males over 50 who are diabetic very often end up with an enlarged prostate also. Now, it's not uncommon to have an enlarged prostate, but when you see those two things together, you're starting to think zinc deficiency. Another lesser known mineral that's has something to do with something in your brain is called manganese. Manganese, it's needed throughout your whole body, but it's especially important for your pituitary gland, which is in your brain. The pituitary gland is like the master hormone gland. I call it like the supervisor or the manager of the hormones. It communicates with your thyroid, with your ovaries, prostate, adrenal glands, and it needs the manganese key to turn the engine on. I've seen many young women with a condition called polycystic ovarian syndrome, which causes irregular menstrual cycle. It can cause acne, sometimes hair growth, overweight, even metabolic disorders like diabetes. We give them a little bit of manganese. You don't need too much of it because it's a trace mineral, and all of that goes away. Yes, I've done that many times. We mentioned the pancreas in relation to zinc. So the pancreas produces insulin. It's not the only thing that it does. It also produces digestive enzymes. But in relation to your blood sugar, we're talking about it's producing insulin, which helps move glucose from your bloodstream into your cells where it gets converted to energy. So zinc is an important mineral for the normal production, storage, and release of insulin. But there's another important mineral that helps with glucose regulation in pancreas, and that is chromium. In fact, chromium's nickname is glucose tolerance factor. Chromium helps your cells respond normally to insulin. So many people with insulin insensitivity are chromium deficient. Another mineral that doesn't get talked about as much is called vanadium. And vanadium is also important for healthy glucose metabolism. Only tiny amounts of it are required. It's a trace mineral. But some of the little guys have very significant and important responsibilities in the body. Next, we've mentioned thyroid. Let's talk about your thyroid. So many people know that iodine is important for thyroid hormone production, but it's not the only thing. Selenium is also needed. That helps your body to convert thyroid hormone from its inactive form, which is how it's produced, into its active form. And then zinc is also involved in thyroid health, in receptor function, so making the cells more receptive to thyroid hormone binding. And even iron. Your thyroid needs iron too. It's I've seen people with hypothyroidism that are just iron deficient. And a lot of people do not know that. The thyroid, by the way, controls your metabolism, affects your energy production, your temperature regulation, heart function, digestion, weight. So whether you have hypothyroidism, meaning that your thyroid is underfunctioning, hyperthyroid, meaning it's overfunctioning, Hashimoto's thyroiditis, thyroid issues are very common right now. Chances are you're deficient in one or more of the minerals that we just mentioned. Your heart. Did you know your heart beats over 100,000 times a day? And in order to do that, it relies on minerals, magnesium and potassium, to name two of them. Those aren't the only ones, but magnesium is required for muscle relaxation. The heart is a muscle, and potassium is needed for contraction and and also for the electrical conductivity of the heart, which is what determines your heartbeat, the regularity of your heartbeat. So, for example, a potassium deficiency can cause an irregular heartbeat, which is something that we see very often. Things like atrial fibrillation. I have a whole video on the minerals needed for the heart and for fixing conditions that are causing your heart to beat irregularly. And these minerals like potassium, magnesium, sodium is also. I have a whole video called What Happens When You Don't Eat Salt. We can call them electrolytes. And electrolytes, a lot of people are familiar with if you're exercising heavily, sweating heavily, athletes use them, you add them to your water. They help to replenish these minerals, which you lose when you're sweating. But some people who are mineral deficient just need them anyway. They help regulate your fluid balance. So if you have fluid retention or you're having trouble hydrating, you may be deficient in these minerals and you may benefit from using some electrolytes. I have some really good ones on my store, drcori.com, if you want to check them out. I do use them myself also. I enjoy the taste of them and it helps me to drink more water. So keeping in mind, and I did mention this earlier, that when you're under stress of any kind, stress causes your body to require more minerals. And if you're not repleting it, you will become mineral deficient. So that can be emotional stress or mental stress or physical stress. And physical stress can happen if you're over exercising. Your bones, joints, muscles, tendons, ligaments also need minerals. People think of calcium. When you think of bones, what's the first mineral that comes to your mind? Calcium. Calcium is the most present mineral in your body. That is true. And your bones really do need calcium. Your bones are made out of mostly collagen, and the minerals create the structure, the hardness of the bones. So you also need magnesium. And then a lesser known mineral that doesn't get as much airtime is boron. Boron helps the body to utilize the calcium. So you could take all the calcium in the world, but if it doesn't get transported to where it needs to go, it doesn't help you, and then it can end up causing problems. Um, and also, boron can help the body utilize magnesium and also vitamin D more efficiently. More efficiently. Vitamin D is also needed for healthy bones. So you see how all of these things interact. There's a lot of vitamins that need minerals in order for them to work. Silica is another one. Silica is a fascinating trace mineral. It helps improve the quality of your hair, your nails. It gives them the structure, but it's also really important for your connective tissue, your tendons, your ligaments, your cartilage, and your blood vessels. Mentioning skin, hair, and nails, all the good quality creams and lotions. Kidding me right now? I can't believe this is happening. Sorry for that rude interruption. My doorbell rang. I hope I didn't swear with the recording on. I'm not good at editing, so hopefully I can get someone to edit it out if I did. Anyway, I was saying all the expensive creams and lotions and shampoos, etc., in the world are not going to keep your hair, skin, and nails healthy without nutrients. You have to do it from the inside out. So skin is your largest organ in your body. It's constantly repairing itself, producing new cells. It protects you from bad things. But in order for it to be healthy, you have to be nutritionally balanced. Zinc supports normal skin repair. Copper. Copper is a trace mineral involved in the production of collagen and elastin, two proteins that help provide skin with its strength and elasticity. Copper also helps your body to utilize iron, and it also has to be taken in combination with zinc, demonstrating once again that minerals rarely work alone. So you shouldn't take a lot of zinc without taking copper. I have a uh, zinc complex that I use. It's on my store, drcori.com, that has zinc, copper, and iron in it in the correct ratios. And silica also, as we mentioned, is really important for hair health and connective tissue health. Um, it helps to deliver oxygen to your hair follicles, which is important for hair growth. And I have a silica supplement too called Regenemax Plus. So it's especially great for hair health and also though for joints. And it has silica and the biotin. And I take that too because I want my hair to stay on my head. All of the women in my family lose their hair, so I'm trying not to let that happen. Your eyes, we talked about zinc earlier. They require a lot of nutrients, and vitamin A, vitamin C, but zinc helps to transport the vitamin A to your eyes, to your retina. So it's really important for retinal health. And of course, those are not the only nutrients that your eyes need, but those are the really critically important ones that I wanted to mention. Your immune system needs zinc and selenium. Zinc helps support the development and communication of immune cells. Selenium helps protect the cells from oxidative stress. So it helps through its role in regulating antioxidant enzymes. And interestingly, also your immune system relies on adequate protein. I want to say that calcium is also an important immune mineral, and I have a video about that. And very few people know that. In fact, if you have adequate stores of calcium in your tissue, your body doesn't need to have a fever when you get sick. So there's different forms of calcium, just like we talked about different forms of magnesium. I love calcium lactate. It's very inexpensive and it's very absorbable. It's very easy for the body to transport that into the cells. Let's mention the liver. This is an interesting one. Every day, your liver's detoxing, processing hormones, chemicals, if you're on medications and so forth. One of the trace minerals that rarely gets discussed is, I don't even know how to pronounce it, molybdenum. Molyb, molybdenum. Molybdenum. So that's molybdenum. And I don't mind making fun of myself when I can't pronounce something. It acts as a helper for several of the enzymes that are involved in processing sulfur-containing compounds and other metabolic reactions. And again, you only require tiny amounts of it, but it is critically important for liver detox. So some people have difficulty with detoxing. Their detox pathways are not working, and it could be because they are deficient in molybdenum. So you can eat healthy and still be mineral deficient. As I mentioned, modern farming practices, there's not that much minerals in the food, or if you're eating a processed diet, well, then you're not eating a healthy diet. Chronic stress, heavy sweating from exercise. As we get older, if we're not producing enough stomach acid, it becomes more difficult to absorb minerals from food. Certain medications can interfere with mineral absorption and intestinal inflammation. Even chronic inflammation or an unbalanced microbiome can interfere with how efficiently minerals are absorbed and utilized. And low stomach acid is a big one. And people don't realize how important stomach acid is, and then they start popping antacids or medications that stop the production of acid. You will become nutritionally deficient if you take those for a long period of time. So I do want to share with you, I just picked out 4 mineral products that I like. I have so many of them. If you go on my store and you put in the search minerals, you'll like there's hundreds of them. But I just want to share 4 of them with you that I picked specifically for different reasons. So this first one is a brand called Cellcore, and it's called CT Minerals, essential trace minerals for cellular health. And these minerals literally come from fulvic acid, which comes from soil, and it comes from really good quality soil. So it has everything in it. And I like this concept of getting the minerals from the soil because there's other things in it that you need in order to utilize the minerals. There's enzymes. It's, these things don't live in, they don't exist in isolation. So you're much better off taking um, what I call a whole food approach. And this CT Minerals also has magnesium malate and magnesium acetyl taurate in it. The next one is a liquid trace mineral formula from one of my favorite companies, Allegheny. They produce wonderful uh, enzyme products and overall health products. And this is their liquid trace minerals um, made from the Salt Lake, and it is more flexible. So because it's liquid, you can just titrate your dose if you don't want to take with the CT Minerals. It's a capsule. With this, you can put as much or as little in there as you want. And this is especially good if you're using a filtration system that pulls minerals out of the water, like reverse osmosis, distillation, or the zero water filter. All of those pull minerals out. This way you can put the minerals back in with this liquid. The next one is called Minchex, and I have affectionately nicknamed this Chill Chex. So this is a wonderful formula for stress. And I do take this every day. I've been taking it for years. I used to need a lot of it. Now, not so much anymore. Not because I'm under less stress, but because I'm no longer deficient. But I have seen this stop a copiously weeping person in their tracks, crying nonstop. You take some Minchex and suddenly you feel stabilized. Okay, not like taking an antidepressant where you feel numb, where you're not experiencing emotion anymore, but where you just feel calmer and able to handle stuff, which a lot of people struggle with. So I keep an open bottle of this in my clinic. And if any of my staff are misbehaving, I tell them to go take a chill pill or I just tell them, open your mouth and toss it in there. I don't really do that. I'm just kidding. The next one is, remember I mentioned a magnesium formula that had all the different types of magnesium in it. So I love this one. It's made out of vegetables that contain magnesium, Swiss chard, and buckwheat. Buckwheat is technically a fruit. And it also has other minerals in it. It has, we mentioned potassium earlier. It has potassium. It has, actually, it has all of the minerals that you need for heart rhythm regulation. It has calcium, iron, phosphorus. We didn't mention anything about phosphorus, also an important mineral. And then it also contains K1, which is found in dark green leafy vegetables. And like I said, there's so many more mineral formulas that I could recommend depending on your particular needs. If you'd like specific help with these recommendations, I have a low-cost customized supplement recommendation program. I can help you with that. And if you're really struggling with health, I have a comprehensive natural health improvement program that you can participate in. Either way, I'd love to try to help you improve your health. I also have a monthly health masterclass that you can join. It's a subscription. It's very inexpensive. It's 27 US dollars. We spend an hour together in a group. I do a short presentation and then I answer your questions. We have a conversation. And it's been lovely. I'm really enjoying it. And so are the participants. You can find that product on my store, drcori.com. And don't forget to subscribe for more videos on natural health like this one. If you found this helpful, please hit the like button so more people can find it. And last and most importantly, please share this video with anyone you know that you think would benefit from the information. Thank you so much for listening. I hope to see you again soon with more useful natural health information. And until then, please stay healthy.